Thank you for tuning in. You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World. This is Women Empowerment Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Carmel Bias. Oh, what a beautiful day here again in Seattle, Washington. And we are here this afternoon with our guest, Miss Sharon Harvey, Acting Director of Policy with the Office of Minority Women Business Enterprise. Good afternoon, Miss Sharon. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon. I am so happy to be here. I'm doing great today. How are you?
Great, great. Glad to have you on the show with us this afternoon today. We're going to be talking about some certifications here. Y'all, us as business owners, hopefully working here with the state, city, federal government, and how we can get those contracts. But before we jump into our interview this afternoon, I want to go ahead as I usually do and give those announcements. All right, y'all, Women in Business Expo Group. Oh, we are again with Echo Glen Youth Detention Center, our second year this time around. We're excited for this program here. This is our youth entrepreneurship program. We have confirmed the 4 workshops again this year to help these young people, transition, provide them with the support and resources it is that they need to hopefully, go into entrepreneurship, take a different career path, whatever it is that they need. We want to be that resource and that support for them. So if you are interested at all in being a guest speaker, a panelist, someone that volunteers here with this program, we are looking for you. That is our youth entrepreneurship program. This year, we will be working with Echo Glen again. If you are interested and want to support, definitely contact us. The email address is womeninbusinessexpogroup@yahoo.com, or you can check out our website, www.wibeg.biz. There you can find more information, definitely some details about the upcoming program it is that we have. So go ahead and check that website out. Again, that's www.wibeg.biz. Also, too, as I have stated, the website is up and things are rolling, y'all. Oh, we are so happy for this website. It is for those of you that are out there, small business owners looking for that place to place your products or services, let others know about the work it is that you're doing. You can check out our website. That's wibeg.biz. Again, that is an e-commerce website there. So yeah, you can definitely put your products and services up there, sell directly from the website, also to connect and network with other business owners there. So there's a bunch of amazing things there on that website. Again, that is www.wibeg.biz. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and jump into our interview this afternoon here with Miss Sharon Harvey, Acting Director of Policy with the Office of Minority Women Business Enterprise. Again, Miss Sharon, I want to go ahead and thank you again for your time this afternoon and just being our guest here at Women Empowerment Talk Radio.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I am so grateful to be here, and it's always exciting to talk about certification with OMWBE.
Yes, yes. Well, go ahead. Why don't you let our listeners know a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, of course. As you mentioned, my name is Sharon Harvey. I've been with the Office of Minority and Women's Business Enterprises for about 3 years. I started in September 2020. I started as the certification training analyst, and then I became the assistant director for certification and for the audit and review unit. I've lived in Washington State for about 10 years, recently married, originally from Maryland, 20 minutes right outside of Washington, D.C. And I, like every other Washingtonian on the other side of the country, I have a legal background.
Awesome, great. Glad to again have you on the show with us this afternoon and learn a little bit more about the work it is that you do there. Why don't you go ahead, let our listeners know, what is the mission statement for the Office of Minority Women Business Enterprise, and when was this organization founded?
Absolutely. So first, I'll start with your second question. When was the organization founded? OMWBE was created by statute in 1983. So it's July of 1983. And the mission then and the mission now is to create and implement programs that provide the maximum opportunity for participation of businesses owned by minorities, women, and other underrepresented communities in public contracting.
Awesome. Yeah. 1983 here. So going on about 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah, yeah. That's excellent. So been around for a long time there. Definitely. Let our listeners know, who is your target audience? And also to, is there an age requirement at all to become a membership, or is there even membership?
Excellent question. Well, first, there is no age requirement and there is no membership because OMWBE is a state agency. It's not a national organization. So, as a state agency, no membership. Our target audience would be small businesses in general, also minority owned, women owned, and socially and disadvantaged business owners. Typically, when I say social disadvantage, it's statutorily, but it's like African American, a racial or ethnic minority. And economic disadvantage would mean anyone with a personal net worth of $1.32 million or less. And so that would be an economic disadvantage. I would like to share with you today, Carmel, that this year the legislature passed Senate Bill 5268, which would create an additional certification. It's effective next year, July of next year, but this would provide a race and gender neutral business certification. And what that means is it won't depend on a person's race or gender. However, the business owner would still need to be economically disadvantaged and satisfy the same criteria as our other certification types.
Awesome. And that you said that starts then next year, is that?
Next year, yes, July 1 of 2024. And more information will be coming in the coming months about that certification.
Yeah, so that sounds like definitely some additional certifications coming, for business owners out there then that are looking to be, certified. And it sounds like.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Let our listeners know, exactly for those, that may be new business owners just stepping into this entrepreneur space, what are the benefits of, being certified? What does that exactly do for a business?
Thank you. That's an excellent question. What are the benefits? Well, pretty much, it will blow up your business. It will allow you to have more job opportunities by contracting with the state. You can also, on your website, you can put our logo on your website. It's good for advertisement. If you want to do contracts with the state, and we can get into that later, the different types of certifications, it will really help your business grow. All business is good. It's good to get your name out there.
Yes. And that, it brings me to another question then. What does that process look like, of applying for the certification? How long does that take, to be certified? What does the process look like? And then also to, eligibility. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. And I was just thinking about the last question, but I'll answer your question. So there were multiple questions in that. But if you're can I talk about the types of certification? Is this a good time to talk about that?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So OMWBE, we process two certification types. That's federal certification and state certification. Depending on what the business wants to do will determine which type of certification you would like. For example, if your business is in public works and you want you want to bid on a large public works contract, then you would want federal certification. Federal certification merely means that the funding source is from federal funds. For example, the federal funds could come from the U.S. Department of Transportation. It could come from the Federal Transit Administration, or the Federal Aviation Administration. So the first step is to decide which type of certification you want. The other certification type that we offer would be state certification. And state certification is for those business owners who want to sell their goods and services to agencies or institutions of higher learning, colleges, universities, things like that. Maybe you own a paper company and you want to sell your paper products to a college or university or an agency. And so if that's you, then you want to apply for state certification. Or maybe you're a business that wants to do both, and we offer that as well. So once you determine which type of certification you would like, we have on the federal side, there are 3 types of federal certification. The first type is the disadvantaged business enterprise. And the disadvantaged business enterprise has, tell me if I'm going into too much detail, Carmel,
No,
but there.
no, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay, great. So the disadvantaged business enterprise requires 4 eligibility criteria. That's number 1, the group membership. That's when I mentioned before the social and economic disadvantage. We call that group membership. You must satisfy that. The second is business size. That means after 3 years, an average of your gross receipts must equal or be less than $30.4 million. And so if you have that, you're eligible under business size. And we use the Small Business Administration standards for that. For the federal certification, we also look to what we call the NAICS code size. And that's like an industry code, the North American Industry Code System. And so the NAICS code. And sometimes, Carmel, that could be higher than the $30.4 million. It could be $50.8 million.
Oh.
If the federal funds are coming from the Federal Aviation Administration, then we would look to the 5-year average of your business tax, your gross receipts. And after 5 years, that average, if it's less than that NAICS code amount, then you qualify if you're trying to get a project with the Federal Aviation Administration. After business size, we look to ownership. That means that you actually put some money or some kind of investment in it. You have substantial continuing, some real stake in the game. You really own the business, and we evaluate that. And last but not least, do you have control over this business? Or, do you have actual control? You can run the day-to-day if need be. Do you have legal control? For example, if it's a corporation, are you the president of the board? Because the president of the board runs that business, not the secretary of the board. And so we're looking into that. Under control also, we make sure that the business is independent. What that means is that you're not a pass-through company. Another company isn't really running the show and just running things through you. And so that's the evaluation that we do when we're processing these federal certification applications. And I've just mentioned the DBE, which we call the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. The second one is the ACDBE, Airport Concessionaire Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. And those are for businesses that sell goods and services to the traveling public at an airport. And so this, the eligibility criteria, we go through the same factors that I mentioned for the disadvantaged business enterprise. The only difference is the amount, certain amounts change and are different because airports are just more costly, and we have a different statute that we look at through that. And when you apply, we will tell you all of that. Last but not least is the small business enterprise. And the small business enterprise is the race and gender neutral certification, where you still must be economically disadvantaged. You still must show ownership, control, and business size. That's for federal.
Yes.
We have 5 state certifications, And now we're getting an additional 6 with the one that I just shared about the race and gender, which is really equivalent to the small business enterprise. And if you want me to get into that, Carmel, I can tell you about those as
Yes, yes. Please let our listeners know more information. I was so excited about this show because I've had so many business owners come to me
well.
and ask me about certification. So yeah,
Okay.
so we're hungry for the information.
Well, I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, great. This is fantastic. So currently we have 5 state certifications. And next year we will have an additional 6 with our race and gender neutral one. But we have the minority business enterprise, and
Yeah.
that means a minority male owns 51% or more of the business. We have, and the same eligibility criteria apply. As I mentioned before, you still need group membership, you need
Yeah.
business size, you need ownership and control. Um, Second, we have the minority women business enterprise. That's when a minority woman owns 51% or more of the business. Third, we have the combined business enterprise, and that's where 50% ownership is with a minority male and 50% of ownership is with a non-minority female, Caucasian female. Same eligibility criteria. Fourth, we have the social and economic business enterprise, and that's where the person does not satisfy the typical social disadvantage, but on a case by case basis, the person can prove social and economic disadvantage. And this is an example would be someone from a foreign country who may look Caucasian, but they have an accent and it's really impacted their ability to participate in business, education, and employment, and they have to prove the disadvantage there. It could also be someone who is disabled. That person could apply to the um, case by case in that way. And so you have the minority, you have the women, you have the combined, and then you have the minority woman, and then you have the social and economic disadvantage. And that's the 5 that we currently have. The one that's coming next year is our race and gender neutral certification on the state side, where the applicant still must be economically disadvantaged, Carmel. They still must have a personal net worth less than $1.3 million and
Mhm.
satisfy business size ownership and control.
Yes, wow. Definitely there a lot to consider when it comes to applying for these certifications. It
Yeah.
sounds like, yeah, we need to, as
So,
business owners, know our stuff for sure.
would you
Yeah.
also like to know the fee amount or anything like that?
Yes, yes, I do want to definitely we'll dive into the cost here. For those of you that are just tuning in, you are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. This is Women Empowerment Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Carmel Bias, here in the studio today via StreamYard with our guest, Miss Sharon Harvey, Acting Director of Policy with the Office of Minority Women Business Enterprise. So we are here just discussing certification, kind of some eligibility benefits, all the good stuff here. Let's go ahead, Miss Sharon, and why don't we talk about, cost? What is the cost for certification? What would a business owner be looking at as far as for cost?
Excellent question. Thank you so much. Currently, the for a federal certification, we call it disadvantaged business enterprise or any such application, it's $25. And each year, once you're approved, each year you have to renew, and that amount is $20. For state certification, the fees are as follows, and we get a lot of concern about our fees, but I'll tell you the fees and then I'll tell you what we've been trying to do to
Sure.
eliminate these fees. So if you are a sole proprietor in business for yourself, it's $50. If you're in a partnership, it's $75. If you have a limited liability company, it's $100. And for any corporation, it's also $100. This fee, OMWBE has been made aware that the state fees in particular have been a barrier to applying for certification. And for that reason, we did submit a package to a decision package to the legislature to try to eliminate these fees. These fees are fees that we need to run our organization. And we submitted it. It didn't work out for us this year, but we will be back. So
Yes.
we do want to.
Yeah. Definitely. So let me make sure here that we're clear. So the certification, what you're saying, is it $25 per certification. However, how the business entity is filed, then there's a separate fee. Is that correct?
Well, I'm glad that you asked for the clarification. No. If you apply for, so there are two certification types, and one is federal certification. I know it sounds confusing because I'm saying the word types, and you have three types under federal certification. That's your DBE, your ACDBE, and your small business enterprise. That amount for the disadvantaged business enterprise, which the funding comes from the federal source, and for your airport concession or disadvantaged business enterprise, where the funding comes from a federal source, the amount for that is $25. Yes.
Yeah.
And so every year you must renew, and that is $20 to renew over there.
Awesome.
Then we leave the federal certification land and go into state certifications. And those are the 5 types that I mentioned. And each of those state certifications have those fees that I listed.
Okay. If you could just real quickly reiterate those fees again, so I make sure all those business owners out there, you guys get ready.
Yes. So if you want to apply for state certification, that means that you have goods and services, paper, something you want to contract with a state agency or a university or college, then you want to apply for state certification. If you are a sole proprietor in business for yourself, that application would be $50. If you are in a partnership, that application would be $75, the fee. And if you're a limited liability company, the application fee is $100. And if you are a corporation, the application fee is $100.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah, it does totally make sense. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that our listeners caught that, when it comes to cost and calculating, some cost expenses here, especially for those it is that are, getting started. So we want to make sure, that we consider that. Let me ask you this now. I know during our interview here, you've mentioned state and federal. What about city certifications? Is that something that Office of Minority Women Business Enterprise handles, or is that handled through another organization?
Right, not directly. We don't. We do have an agreement, a memorandum of understanding with the city of Seattle, and we call it our SCS program. And I know I just threw out an acronym. Many people may know of that, but that deals with a city. That's a city kind of contract. And so our agreement there is if you are certified with OMWBE, you're automatically eligible for the city of Seattle's SCS program. And so, but we do not directly handle city certifications.
Oh, okay. So if someone was interested then in applying for the city, where would they go again?
They can go to the city of Seattle, but for now, they can come to me. They can come to OMWBE, and you can actually contact me at Sharon H, SHARONH at omwbe.wa.gov.
Awesome.
.wa.gov. And
Yes.
Carmel, I can get you all of that information as well.
Definitely, we would love to have that and be able to add it as we post the interview here and everything, so people know exactly where to contact you. Let me ask you this also too. When it comes, I know we've been talking about business here, but is there an option for nonprofit organizations to contract to either state or federal?
Excellent question. OMWBE, we only process applications for for-profit businesses. So we, while there may be opportunities, our agency only deals with the for-profit businesses.
Okay, okay. So yeah, so those that are nonprofit, I guess they have to definitely find another way here, it sounds like. For sure. Do you foresee that coming at all? I mean, for those that are nonprofit?
I don't foresee that, and there have been no discussions for the next 5 years of nonprofit.
Yeah.
All things are possible, Carmel, but
Right.
for now, we are strictly in the for-profit
Awesome.
business.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Okay. Another question it is I have, and I tell you, I got a call from a business owner there in Las Vegas, Nevada, who was calling me about certification.
Okay.
Carmel, I am interested in applying for certification. I currently live here in Las Vegas, Nevada. However, I am planning on moving to Washington State. Should I apply in Las Vegas, Nevada, where I'm at currently, or should I wait until I get to Washington State? And I did let her know. I said, just hold off on the question here real quick. I'm going to be interviewing Sharon Harvey here, and I can ask her on the
That's right. Well, the answer, it depends. I mean, is the person doing business in Nevada, are they a part of the federal disadvantaged business enterprise program now?
As far as I know, I do not think so, but I know that she was definitely looking into this, to find out what worked best for her. So I will say no for now.
Oh, okay. And so, what works best for an individual business owner is up to them. But I will share the options of moving. I think if someone is in one state and they want to move to another state, well, we have something called interstate certification. The U.S. Department of Transportation owns the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise program. I would like to step back, if it's okay, Carmel, and just explain a little bit about how this works. And
Sure.
so I think it can help the, my answer the question and it be more clearer. So the U.S. Department of Transportation is the owner of the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise program. The USDOT gives authority to what we call the Unified Certification Programs. And in each state, it would be the Department of Transportation of that state. So for Washington State, it's the Washington State Department of Transportation. The Washington State Department of Transportation has a memorandum of understanding with our agency, OMWBE, to certify these federal certifications. In that, there is a program, there is an option, a certification. It's not a certification option, but it is an option called interstate certification. And what that means is if you are certified, if you have a federal DBE certification in another state, say Nevada, and you know that you want to move to Washington State and do business here, you can apply for interstate certification. And that it streamlines the process. You don't have to do an original application. And states have an option. Option A, that means that we automatically accept your certification from another state and we approve you here. That's what Washington State does. We've done that since October 1 of 2022. Or a state has an option, option B, It's still a streamlined process. They'll ask for your original certification application, but it's not as intense as the original application.
Awesome,
And
awesome.
so that is a benefit.
Yes.
And
Miss
so
Sharon, I want to thank you for your time this afternoon here on Women Empowerment Talk Radio. And we want to thank you, listeners, for tuning in here at Rainier Avenue Radio.world. This is Women Empowerment Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Carmel Bias. All right, y'all.